The morning sun shimmered across the glass walls of Henderson Enterprises. Inside, everything was polished, pristine, and punctual, just like its CEO, Amelia Henderson. Dressed in a sharp navy suit, heels clicking confidently across the marble floor, she was a woman who had built her empire from ashes, or so she told herself. To everyone who worked under her, Amelia was brilliance and beauty wrapped in ice. To her husband, Ethan, she was a stranger. Ethan had once shared her world of laughter, dreams, and candlelit dinners. But a sudden financial collapse had crushed his career in corporate finance. Unable to find another high-paying job, he quietly accepted a position as a night security guard at her very own company. He didn't tell her. Amelia, too busy running her empire, barely noticed that her husband left early and came home late. She assumed he was figuring things out. What she didn't know was that Ethan was spending his nights guarding the very building where she ruled by day. Their conversations had grown mechanical. "How was your day?" "Fine. Dinner's on the table." "Thanks." Amelia didn't see how Ethan's hands had grown rough, or how exhaustion shadowed his gentle eyes. She believed her success made her the stronger one in the relationship. But Ethan? He never complained. He supported her silently, watching her press interviews from a corner of the security room, smiling proudly as she spoke with confidence and grace. One stormy night, Amelia stayed late for an investor meeting. The power flickered, and the building went dark for a moment. In the hallway, she bumped into a man in a uniform and snapped, "Watch where you're going." "Sorry, ma'am," came a familiar voice, but in the dim light, she didn't recognize him. It was Ethan. She walked past him without a second glance, muttering, "These guards should learn some professionalism." Ethan just stood there, rain dripping from his jacket, a quiet hurt flashing in his eyes. A week later, during an important investor presentation, a sudden fire alarm blared through the building. Smoke began filling the lower floors. Panic spread. Employees rushed for the exits, shouting and coughing. Amelia froze. Her assistant screamed, "We have to go," but Amelia's heel snapped as she stumbled. The crowd pushed past her until strong arms lifted her up. It was the same guard she had scolded. He guided her through the smoke, shielding her face with his jacket. When a piece of the ceiling collapsed, he pulled her out of harm's way without hesitation. Only when they reached the open air did she finally look at him clearly. "Ethan," she gasped. He smiled faintly, coughing. "Hey, Amelia." Hours later, in the hospital, Amelia sat by Ethan's bedside. His arm was bandaged, smoke had singed his hair. She felt her heart twist with guilt and love all at once. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. "I didn't want your pity," he said softly. "I wanted to stand on my own, even if it meant standing in the shadows." Tears welled in her eyes. She had looked down on the very man who had stood tall for her every single day. Then, one of the investors walked in, an older gentleman with a firm handshake. "Amelia, your security guard saved over 20 employees today." His emergency response training was military grade. "Where did you find him?" Amelia turned to Ethan, shocked. He sighed. "Before finance, I served in the special forces. I never liked to talk about it." The investor smiled. "He's a hero." Amelia could only nod, her pride replaced by humility and awe. After Ethan recovered, Amelia made a decision. She offered him a position as head of corporate security, not as a favor, but as recognition of his courage, leadership, and quiet strength. But Ethan only smiled. "Thank you, Amelia. But I think I'll keep doing what I do best, protecting people quietly. I don't need a title for that." She realized then that greatness doesn't always wear a suit. Sometimes, it wears a simple uniform and carries a heart of gold. Epilogue, the lesson. Weeks later, at a charity gala, Amelia gave a speech. "True strength," she said, her eyes glistening as she looked at Ethan in the audience, "isn't measured by position or power. It's measured by love, sacrifice, and humility. I used to believe success meant being above others. But I learned the greatest leaders never look down except to lift someone up." The crowd applauded. Ethan smiled from the back, proud and quiet as ever. And that night, for the first time in years, Amelia walked over, took his hand, and said, "Let's go home." Message: Sparkles. Sometimes the most powerful people are the ones who choose kindness over pride, and love over ego.